Good morning, everybody. This is Linda Jo Heffner, and I'm the author of Fading Mirror. And today we might have a scandal brewing. But first, take a look left and right, and take a look at the website for my book, Fading Mirror, and then we'll get on. Now, you all know from reading my information about Bud and Linda, me being Linda, that Bud is a good Catholic man, a father. He just had a new baby. Oh my goodness. And he now is married to Linda, and you all have this great opinion of Bud. Could he be a good man, or did he go astray? He has 6 women. Yes, 6 women in his life. A sailor with 6 women, and he's married. Oh, the scandal. The scandal would be tremendous. How devastating to me if I found out that my husband was messing around with other women. Me being 1, and 4 I can accept. Those are the gray ones that are made of metal, the ships that he serves on. But there's still one woman out there. And who could that woman be? Ah, God. Did he love this woman? Seems he does. Seems he does love this other woman. And who could she be? Who could she be? No, you'll have to stay tuned and hang on to find out who the 6th woman is in Bud's life. Just how devastating for the world that this child might go fatherless and Linda would be a divorced woman. Ah, dear me. So I'm not going to worry about the women who are the ship. No big deal. It's the winter of our first marriage, and they're in State College, Pennsylvania, and there's a blanket of new snow. It's absolutely beautiful outside, and I'm hearing the clamor of the snow shovel outside as Bud cleans up the snow, which he does regularly. So I'm wondering, then it stops. I'm holding the baby, nursing the baby, and I don't hear Bud outside. So I go to check. No Bud. The snow the snow shovel's propped up against the side of the house, but no Bud. Oh, I wonder where he went. So I figured, okay, he'll be back. He'll be back, not to worry. I wait, and he's not coming back. Where could this man be? Well, it's not hard to find out. It doesn't take a Dick Tracy to follow his footprints in the snow. And they're leading right up to the single lady who lives in the trailer right next door. Oh, my goodness. And am I concerned about this? I don't know. But the door is open. The door is unlocked. So I have Gregory the baby against my chest, and we go inside. And what do I see? I see this lady sitting in the kitchen chair with her dress pulled up just over her knees, and my sailor husband rubbing his hand and holding her leg. Oh my gosh. Would I be shocked? Would I be surprised? Are you surprised? Leave a comment below if you think you're totally surprised by the fact that Bud would actually be in a single woman's trailer and holding her right leg. Here's the kicker. The lady whose leg he was holding was Mrs. Meltzer. Mrs. Meltzer was our neighbor, and Mrs. Meltzer kept a beautiful garden. She had flowers around the whole place, and she kept flowers in the house too. And apparently when she brought her plants in, she brought a tick in with her, and that tick was on her leg. And she's there crying, oh, Bud, help me. So my husband, always prepared, is there with his first aid kit and his tweezers, and he's ready to go. He puts Vaseline on first, And a little insect, the tick, backs its head out, and Bud's there pulling out the tick very carefully. He wraps it in a tissue and throws it into the trash can. Swishes it, of course, and throws it in the trash can. Now, ever ready Bud, military man that he is, opens his first aid kit, cleans the area completely, puts antiseptic ointment on it, and covers it with a Band-Aid. Oh, this lady was like glowing. It didn't matter whether he did that or not. Mrs. Meltzer loved my husband. She was 86 years old. 86 years old. And she just adored him. I was tolerated because I was the one that gave Bud a baby. No, but she was sweet to me too. So Mrs. Meltzer was the sixth woman in my husband's life. And she loved my Bud, and my Bud loved her. Now comes springtime. Mrs. Meltzer's flowers were starting to come in, and Gregory was a little bit older, and Bud and I were in the living room, and we look out at the flower bed. Mrs. Meltzer's out there working, and we wave to her, and she turns and waves and smiles. And then she collapsed. She collapsed right there, and of course my Bud was right there, helping her up, and she passed out. He carried her to the sidewalk and had her on his knee and her head up and was holding her like she was a baby. And I called for an ambulance. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. Bud right in the ambulance with Mrs. Meltzer, and I followed with the car with the baby. And Mrs. Meltzer went into the hospital, and she was admitted in the hospital, and we stayed by her side. So it was a while that she was in there, but she never had any company. Nobody came to see her. She was in a garden club, but most of those ladies were too old to drive. So she would get a lot of phone calls, but she wouldn't get any company. So what Bud and I did was we kind of rotated a schedule. We would make sure that we were there as much as possible, so our new adopted grandmother would not be alone. And she was always so happy to see us, and we thought we're going to bring our Mrs. Meltzer home, and she would continue being our lovely neighbor. And oh gosh, she spoiled my husband. She made him all kinds of pies and dinners. I mean, anything that a man would dream of, Mrs. Meltzer was lavished on my husband because she adored him. So it went on, and I was in there the one time, well, quite a few times, and Mrs. Meltzer enjoyed seeing the baby. Now, Gregory was just little, and he liked to be cradled and hugged. So, but Mrs. Meltzer sang a song in Russian, and she sang it each time that she held Gregory. And I wondered, what is the song that she's singing to him? Because it sounds spooky. It sounds almost eerie and odd. Not a typical baby lullaby, but it was in Russian. So I didn't know what it meant, but I figured I trust Mrs. Meltzer. She loves my Bud and I, and she loves the baby. And I'm going to play a little bit of it, and I put the link over on the side so that you can listen to it, but just listen to it now. Essentially, the first couple words is about a man looming outside her door. And the mother of this baby is afraid. And I will let you finish the rest of that. It's an eerie, sad lullaby. So I asked her what it was. She says, my grandmother sang it to me, and then my mother. She said, in Russia, they sang it to a lot of the babies in her family, and it was a prayer and a song to keep all the babies safe during the time when the Jewish people were being persecuted. So she sang that every visit to my baby Gregory, and Gregory, oh, she loved Gregory. Gregory was so cute with his little blonde hair and his little puggy nose and round lips, and he would just look up at her and her heart would absolutely melt. Well, we continued seeing Mrs. Meltzer as her only visitors. And then one day we were both in there, and Mrs. Meltzer was having trouble breathing. She was rasping, her breath was short, and she says, Bud, come here, I have to tell you something. And he had to lean in very closely to hear Mrs. Meltzer speak. She says, Bud, I don't have any children. Ernie's dead, my husband, and I lost most of my family in Russia. Please, please, Bud, would you do the ceremonial shoveling of the soil at my gravesite? Jewish custom. It's a Jewish custom to do that. She said, I don't have anybody. The women in my garden club can't handle a shovel, and the rabbi's going to ask. And I said, oh, Mrs. Meltzer, you're not going to die, just hang on there. So she says, well, Linda, she says, I think the good Lord's calling me. She reached up and she kissed Bud on the cheek, and she closed her eyes and she died. So that's the story of the sixth woman in my husband's life, Mrs. Meltzer, 86-year-old woman who loved my husband with all her heart. So I hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't exactly my funniest thing, but perhaps I had you in the beginning. Perhaps I had you in the bigger beginning when you thought maybe this puritanical man that I'm describing all the time wasn't such a puritanical man. But Bud was. He was a devoted family man and a devoted father. But he did love Mrs. Meltzer, and he loved her like that was his grandmother. He never never really knew she was Jewish. That never even crossed his mind until one day I was teasing him about being in love with the Jewish lady next door. So guys, until next time, I hope you enjoyed that. If you do, leave me some comments. Share if you'd like. If you're seeing this on YouTube, you can subscribe so that you can see the next one. Now I'm going to give you a little preview. Yesterday I did an interview with George Thomas. Love George, he's like the unsung hero, and it was such a wonderful interview, and his YouTube numbers are going sky high. Well, I have a treat for you. My next one is going to be a vet who served in Afghanistan, who marched through hell, served his country proudly, and now is giving back to his brothers, the other veterans that he served with. And I won't tell you yet who it is because it'll be a surprise. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and thank you for coming. And I will see you again as soon as I get my vet lined up. And don't forget, next Sunday we'll have another surprise one, another Fading Mirror Live with something funny. Check out the website. And as always, guys, I blow you a kiss and a big hug. Linda Jo Heffner signing out for today. Thank you for coming. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.